This is Radar from the Red Table coming at you with week 1 of the 2024 MLB season observations. We played a full week of baseball plus the opening Thursday because some teams didn't play that following Friday or some teams were rained out on that Thursday. So here we go. Let's start at the bottom. The Philadelphia Phillies, they still think that having Kyle Schwarber, who hits a lot of home runs but strikes out a lot, is the perfect leadoff hitter when they paid Trey Turner all that money. At least Trey Turner's batting second. And Bryce Harper and JT Realmuto, the power bats, are batting in the middle of the lineup, And then at least Kyle Schwarber is now the full-time DH, and he's not out there embarrassing them in left field. Stop batting between 5, 6, and 7 is a little bit a weird spot for not a power hitter. But then pushing Nicky Castellanos all the way to 7th is stupid when you're paying him, Schwarber, and Harper, and Realmuto all this money to be power hitter. It makes no sense. Merrifield's never been a power hitter, so batting him 6 is silly. And again, they signed an everyday second baseman to play left field some days. Stupid. And then Bryce Harper, I still got to get over him playing first base when I still think he should be playing the outfield over Castellanos. Atlanta. I like when Albies is second, Riley, Olsen, and Ozuna, you're 2 through 5. That makes the most sense because you get Albies, who's a great 2-hitter, and you got Riley, Olsen, and Ozuna, who are going to hit home runs, like driving runs. That's the perfect spot. But what's not perfect is Michael Harris batting 6. I had no problem with him batting at the bottom of the lineup last year and Acuna leading off because I was like, I don't know if Michael Harris is good enough to be a leadoff hitter. And Arcia and Murphy are definitely not leadoff hitters, nor is Ozzy Albies. So the question is, who would lead off? Well, they've been doing Kalenic 9th with a combination of whoever's catching because Murphy did get hurt in the 7th and 8th spot with Arcia. But Duvall, when he did start bat at 6, which makes sense because he's a power hitter. So I'm okay with Acuna leading off if the lineup is stacked. But the lineup's not stacked because if Harris is 6th and Arcia is 7th, and let's say Darno is batting 8th, that's not a stacked lineup. But at least he's been the full-time right field for the past 3 or 4 seasons. Something I had an issue with before. Mets. Nimmo leading off is perfect. What's not perfect is Lindor. If I've been watching these games, he's just swinging and missing at horrible pitches and trying to hit home run. That's not what you want out of a 2-hitter. Lindor has been a 30 home run hitter, and I think even 40 home runs in a season, either in New York or in Cleveland. So that's why I think he should be batting in the middle lineup because, again, he's not getting on base enough. McNeil won a batting title when he batted second, has batted 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. And again, leave this guy in the 2 spot and put Lindor and Alonso, and now when JD Martinez comes back, that's going to be loaded there. And then he's also, again, not an outfielder. The whole point of getting Tyrod Taylor and Harrison Bader was to make sure that Jeff McNeil never plays the outfield. Speaking of Tyrod Taylor, they batted him 4th and 6th multiple times this year. And yeah, he had a clutch hit the other day, but backup outfielders do not bat in the middle lineup. And then lastly, DJ Stewart. I know they liked him, so they kept him as their DH. But him batting last is just pretty stupid. That's not where he batted DH. Brewers. Willie Adames has become a good hitting shortstop, but he's not a cleanup hitter or a 5th hitter. He is not Carlos Correa or Alex Rodriguez offensively. He should be at the top. Instead of Williams Contreras batting second when he's a bat first catcher. He's not a speed guy. And then Gary Sanchez, you keep this guy on your team, but why is he batting all the way 8th? He's got power. I like Sal Frelick leading off, but not batting 6th. And this Dunn is another young infield rookie, the guy they have, so why is he DHing when you could DH someone who can't field? And then I like Jackson Chourio, one of his starts, he batted leadoff, pretty cool. Mariners, the whole JP and J-Rod 1 and 2 is great. Speed and contact. Julio Rodriguez is their best player, so he should be in the top 3 part of the lineup. Ty France batting 8th is way too low for an all-star offensive first baseman. 6 is a little bit better. Dylan Moore is not an outfielder, but at least in some games he played second base. The whole Polanco-Garver 3-4 is not scary. You may say, well, Mitch Haniger is not scary and Luke Raley batting there, but maybe you put Cal Raleigh in the 3 and 4 spot because he is a really good offensive catcher. That's where I'm thinking more than anything else. And Voth, I've been saying, man, he's a starting pitcher pitching out of bullpen, but again, at this point in his career, no one needs him as a starting pitcher. And then Luke Raley, who I mentioned, who the Mariners got because he's a corner outfielder, first baseman DH. Why is he batting 9th? Like, he's a power guy. Red Sox. Durant's been batting leadoff pretty consistently, but he hasn't been playing center field consistently. They pay him in left field, and to put Tyler O'Neill in right field was a little bit of a stretch. Tyler O'Neill's a 2-time Gold Glove winning left fielder, I think. Play him in left field every day, Durant in center, and you'll young outfielders that I can't Rafaela and all these other guys. You play them in right field. That's all I'm saying. And O'Neill, you got him for power. Stop batting this guy second, okay? And same thing with Yoshitsugu. He's part of the middle of the lineup. He should not be batting second. Pablo Reyes is a natural-born shortstop utility guy, and you got plenty of first basemen, so he should not be playing first base. Red Sox did maneuvering, and they lost the DH. And then specifically, Devers is batting second or third. Rafael Devers, I know just analytically they want guys to get the most at-bats, but he should be batting third, okay? That's where he should be. He should be batting third. And the whole point of Tyler O'Neill and Yoshi and Tristan Casas and Trevor Story, those are guys that are supposed to be protecting him in the lineup. Whatever. Arizona, it doesn't matter if Cartel Marte or Corbin Carroll's leading off and the other one's batting second. Perfect guys, speed and contact at the top. Not a huge fan of glove first Gabriel Moreno batting fifth or sixth. Seventh is a little bit better based on who they've been starting. And they got this rookie Blaze Alexander DHing. When you pay Jack Peterson all this money, Luis Gurriel all this money, one of them should be DHing. Batting second is an interesting decision after he's been DHing and batting towards the bottom of the lineup. They lost the DH multiple times with maneuvering, and they lost the game because I don't know if they had no one on the bench, whatever the point was, but they had McGovern, whatever his name is, a reliever, bat to end the game. Like, that's a mistake that you can't make, Troy Lavallo. Colorado, Blackman leading off pretty much every game and playing some right field is good because then other guys can DH and play first base. But what's not cool is Chris Bryant playing right field some days and then first base DH some days, him batting second some days, and then some days batting fourth. You paid him all this money to be your middle of the order hitter, and we all know he can't play the outfield. Nolan Joel is already an infielder playing the outfield, so that doesn't help. Brandon Rogers is a pretty good offensive middle infielder, but he's not a cleanup hitter. Second is pretty much better. Lambert and Beeks both pitching on the bullpen. I don't get this. Marquez and Senatella are out for the year, right? Are out. So unless it's literally just going to be Kyle Freeland, Dakota Hudson, and Kyle Quantrill and Austin Gomber, why isn't Pete Lambert in the rotation? Tovar leading off and batting second. He's not the greatest hitter, but at least he's not a power hitter, so he's in the right spot. Nolan Jones batted second one day. I'm like, what are you doing? He's a power guy. And Brandon Doyle's a glove for center fielder. Seven's way too high. Cleveland. Jose Ramirez is the middle of the order hitter. You want him batting third. Yes, you're like, well, you want to get him more bats. Well, you get him more bats if he's batting third. Laureano's not a middle of the order hitter. He's a glove first backup outfielder. Tyler Freeman was last year's backup infielder. Why is he playing center field? Jimenez batting sixth or seventh when he's not an RBI power hitter is stupid. And then, of course, they have put him some days second, which is where he belongs. Because imagine Aquan, Jimenez, and Ramirez and Naylor. That's your four best hitters going first. That's how they are stacking it nowadays. What makes no sense is Florial, the former Yankees outfielder, who's a speed defensive replacement guy, has DH'd a few days. And Brennan, who is their incumbent right fielder from last year, who's a natural-born center fielder, he's DHing. Those guys should be playing center field when you don't have one. And then Fry is a catcher by trade, who they tried in right field, which was a mistake, but he should be playing first base or DH, never at third base. 8. Ryan Noda, not a leadoff hitter. Some days he's batted 6, perfect, but that's not a leadoff hitter. Ruiz and Butler are guys who should be at the top of the line, especially Ruiz, who led one of the league leaders in stolen bases. Geloff batting second's been great, but he's not a 3 hitter. What are you doing? JJ Bleday is also not a middle of the order hitter. Batted second at least a few times. It kind of makes sense, but just keep Geloff in the 2 spot. Rooker and Brown should always be in the middle lineup. Don't change them 4 through 5. Shea Langoliers is a good catcher, but he's not a power hitter, so he's not be batting cleanup. There was a day where it was Ruiz and Bleday 1 and 2, and that makes sense. Speed and contact. And Nevin, they just got this guy, but again, between Turo and there's multiple Diaz's and J.D. Davis, they had to play him in the outfield. Again, it's the wrong team. Texas, I've been saying this whole Simeon Seager 1 and 2 is silly, because you need Seager's RBI and power potential lower, but they're trying to stack the best hitters at the top. Langford DHing. Again, rookie DH is pretty interesting for teams to do that. I personally would move Evan Carter center fielder and put Langford in left field, but that's just me. Him batting second is an interesting spot. Duran opened up the season at first base, the utility guy, but batting in fifth is way too high. But now he's played a lot of third base. Smith is not a shortstop. Let him play third base. And then Carter, batted third, was a little too high for a young player like that. And Kinzer, the backup catcher, batting sixth is way too high. And with Young out with an injury and Lau still out with an injury, Doles Garcia is kind of stuck in the middle with no one to help him. Jonah Heim's a pretty good offensive catcher, but there's no one in this lineup to protect him. That's why Corey Seager should be helping Adolis Garcia in this lineup until those guys come back with injuries. And then the Cubs, Ian Happ leading off. Again, he's not a leadoff hitter. I know they're trying to stack their best hitter, but he was really good in the 3 spot. 6 is okay. Swanson, he was really good in the 2 spot last year, not 5th. Morel's not a cleanup hitter. He's a pretty good offensive player, but that's a little bit too high. Belly, I'm still have a problem with him in center field when he's a much better first baseman. Bush is not even a natural-born first baseman. Nico Horner leading off like he was doing last year was good, but 7th is he's not a power RBI guy. Drew Smiley still pitching out of the bullpen when the Cubs apparently this week, the Cubs, when I was at the game because I worked there, used an opener for 1 inning and then a bolt guy. Like, what are you doing? And Garrett Cooper, who they signed because Patrick Wisdom's hurt, he started 1 game at first base, but then he ended up in left field when he's not an outfielder. And then, as I mentioned, they used an opener. And then Houston, Altuve leading off. I have a problem with that unless the 2-hitter is the guy that should be there. And that's not Yordan Alvarez. I know he's trying to stack guys, but he's a power hitter. Imagine if Yordan Alvarez was batting 3rd. And Kyle Tucker was your cleanup hitter. And Alex Bregman was your 5th hitter. And Jose Abreu was your 6th hitter. That's a pretty darn good lineup. And then with the offensive catcher Diaz 7th, that's still a pretty good lineup. And then you put Jeremy Pena there and you put Chaz and Jake McCarthy at the bottom. Like, that's pretty darn good there. But yeah, Yordan Alvarez not a 2-hitter. It's pretty slow. So again, Chaz 6 is too high. And Dubon, who's a utility guy, is playing center field. Yankees. Gleyber Torres is the latest leadoff hitter. Not a huge fan of that. He's not a leadoff guy, and nor is Juan Soto with 2 guys. Judge is batting 3rd, which is fine. But the whole outfield line, I'm going to keep over this. Protect your best asset by not putting Judge in center field, Soto in right field, and Verdugo in left. And Verdugo one time played center field, and one time, Trent Grisham played center field. And Verdugo's batting 6. It's not a bad spot. Volpe batting 5 through 7 is a little bit too high. Either put him 1 and 2 or 8 or 9, and then Cabrera's been playing a lot of third base. Why are you throwing him in the outfield? We've been over he's not an outfielder. Miami. Arise leading off is perfect, but he's a perfect 2-hitter. I'm okay with Arise leading off if you have the right guy batting second, but that's not Josh Bell. Josh Bell is a big, chugging, slow first baseman. You have him because with Jake Berger, the 2 of them are middle lineup hitters. That's all I'm saying. De La Cruz, Sanchez, and Jazz Chisholm, the 3 of them are not 3 through 5 hitters on most teams, and you're also not stacking your best player. Chazzo's not a center fielder, and Cruz not a DH, so we got Avi Garcia. Tim Anderson batting his 7th or 6th. I know he's trying to regain his value, but in a perfect world, Jazz or Tim will be at the top of the lineup with Luis Arise, and that'd be your 1 through 3, or 2 of those guys at the top. And Nick Gordon had the same issue in Minnesota. He's not an outfielder. He's an infielder. You just traded John Birdie. You're going to need somebody. They're going with Bryant instead, and Brujan also. Again, infielder by trade. Why aren't they using him in the infield? They're using him in the outfield. Jake Berger played first base, which is interesting because, again, they really liked him at third base because they needed his bat. Pirates. Connor Joe leading off is stupid because, again, he's not a leadoff guy, and he's not your best hitter, so you're not stacking the lineup. Also, we know if he's the first baseman, not an outfield. At least he DH one day and batted 5th. Reynolds batting second and playing left field is great, but there are days they move him all the way to right field. Like, come on. At least he's not center field, but just keep him where he is. But I did like when Hayes, Andrew McCutchen, the Henry Davis bat first catcher, and O'Neal Cruz, the bat first shortstop, batted 3 through 6. That's like your power guy. Rowdy batting all the way 8 is way too low for the slugging first baseman. Oliviera batting cleanup or DHing is, again, he's a backup, not a spot for him. Trujillo's won the starting second base job. Why are you wasting time at first base when you got Connor Joe on the team if you're not going to play Rowdy? And then O'Neal Cruz is batting leadoff, interesting. That's a weird spot for him. Kansas City. Miguel Garcia's got all this power potential. Why is he leading off? Witt is perfect in the 2 spot. And Vinny Pasquino, Sal, Perez, MJ Melendez, and then they had Renfroe 1 day 6. I'm like, that's perfect. That's all the power guys, all the offensive guys. Frazier batting 7th. We'd over doesn't give you much offensive value. And I've also an issue with them DHing Lofton when he's a utility guy, when they could DH Melendez, who's a bad outfielder. And then this Velasquez dude killed the White Sox yesterday with an RBI first and then a home run. Like, this Cubs reject somehow is just out there killing the White Sox and other teams as DH when he's a natural-born outfielder. Unlike Melendez, he's playing out there. Jordan Lyles, I still think he should be in the rotation eating innings instead of out of the bullpen. Garrett Hampson's an infielder by trade, not a center fielder. And Salvador Perez should not be playing first base when he's not catching. Maybe DH him. That's what I was thinking. And then Minnesota. Buxton started the season batting leadoff, and I thought that was perfect. Now he's back to third. So you got to figure out what are you going to do with him. Stop moving him around. Jeffers is a bat first catcher. He's slow. Why is he batting second? I was an issue with Roy Lewis batting third, but they're trying to stack their hitters like that, and he's got speed, but he should be batting second. I did like Correa third. Santana fourth, and Max Kepler sixth. At least that would made sense for those offensive guys. Kyle Farmer, seven's too high for a backup. Willie Castro has played some shortstop and third base, which I've been happy about. But stop throwing him in the outfield. He's not an outfielder. Margot, you got him to be a backup outfielder or platoon in the outfield. He's not a power hitter, so you don't DH him. Maybe Wallner you would DH, or whoever else, is, or Larnach, whoever's playing left field for the Twins. That would make more sense. Julian batting leadoff is good because he's speed and contact. Kirov batting second is stupid when this guy's is an offensive first outfielder who can't stay healthy. He's not a top of the order hitter. And this Martin dude, I looked it up, he's not even an infielder. They're playing him in the outfield. Tampa Bay. Still, Yanni Diaz leading off is stupid. And I know they're trying to stack him and then go Lau and Randy third, but this lineup Randy needs protection. It can't just be Paredes after one offensive season. You need Diaz in the middle of the lineup. Okay? Harold Ramirez, not a DH. Doesn't help him. He doesn't protect him batting fourth, fifth, or sixth, or even second. Six is better, but still. Paredes fourth is fine because they're not putting Diaz in the middle lineup. And Ahmed, one day started at shortstop, one day at second base, and one day in the outfield. And he made a pretty good play in right field, but again, not an outfielder, and he's below average shortstop, and he's not him batting second has been fine, and him in the middle lineup is what they've had to do. Blue Jays. Springer leading off. I guess they're not doing that experiment more in the middle lineup, but at least he's playing right field 2 seasons in a row. Vladimir Guerrero is a middle lineup hitter. You're not stacking the lineup if you're swapping him with Bo Bichette. You're stacking the lineup if Springer is still leading off, Bo is still batting second, and you're batting Vladdy third. And in the cleanup spot, you either have Varsho, Justin Turner, or Daniel Vogelbach. And that makes sense. It doesn't make sense with Bo third. Kiermaier seventh is way too high for a glove first player, so ninth has been better. But still, Varsho being the backup center fielder is stupid. Schneider and Biggio having to go play the outfield if they're not playing second base. Ernie Clement, also utility guy, should not be batting sixth. Biggio's not a first baseman. IKF pitched because he's a super utility guy in a blowout. And they lost to DH with maneuvering. Dodgers, home Mookie Betts, playing one day at second base, one day at shortstop, going back and forth is stupid. Him leading off is fine because I know they want to stack the lineup and he's a successful leadoff hitter. But Ohtani should be batting third because Freddie Freeman is the perfect cleanup hitter. Will Smith is a good offensive catcher, but he's not Buster Posey, Joe Mauer. I'm not batting him cleanup. I want him fifth or sixth in the lineup. And, Chris Taylor, Kiki Hernandez are utility infielders playing the outfield, batting fifth and sixth. They're not power hitters. And it's funny to see that you have so many infielders playing the outfield for the Dodgers when you could just save yourself the time by having Mookie Betts back in the outfield every day. That's all I'm saying. And then we got yourself the Cardinals. Goldschmidt batting second is pretty stupid. When he won his MVP, he was batting third, and Arenado's fourth. If you're going to bat Wilson Contreras cleanup and Arenado third, and you're trying to stack your guys there with Donovan leading off, okay, cool. But Gorman is a young guy, and I don't think that he's a middle-order hitter yet. Fifth is a little bit better improvement. And Donovan's playing left field because they're not DHing him, because they've DH Contreras and they've DH, Burleson. That's fine. Herrera was originally a third-string catcher of this team until Kinster was gone. So why is he batting fourth? And he got his first career home run ever. Woo. If I knew that, I would have been like, oh my God, this guy should not be batting. He's never had a home run. And I was right until today. And he's also not a sixth hitter. And then Scott, the youngster, led off the other day. San Diego, the whole Cronenworth playing first base and batting third, and the whole Bogarts playing second base and leading off. If you want to stack your players, you go Tatis in the leadoff spot, Cronenworth or Kibb in the 2 spot, and then you go Machado and Bogarts. It makes no sense there. And Kim batting fifth is way too high because he's not a power hitter. Cronenworth and Viola, not a first baseman. San Francisco, Soler batting second is stupid. You got him to be the middle lineup with Chapman and Michael Conforto to help this team out. But at least he's batted third some days. And then they confounded that by putting Chapman 1 second, which is pretty stupid. And then Wade has gone back and forth between playing first base and the outfield. Just play him in the outfield. He's not a first baseman. And him batting third is way too high. And then Yastrzemski batting fifth is way too high. He's the best defensive guy they have in the outfield, which is why they put Conforto in left field and put him in right. Estrada is a former utility guy. 6 is too high. Fitzgerald, one of their backups, pitching a blowout. Slater's been playing right field and not center field. I'm like, perfect. But he's been batting second, which I'm like, he's not a leadoff hitter or a 2-hitter, but whatever. And then, when it was Soler, Conforto, and Chapman 3 to 5, I'm like, yes, that's what you envision. That's what you should be doing there. Okay? And then we got the Reds. Jonathan India leading off and batting instead of batting second, that's fine. Benson batting second instead of the bottom of the lineup, that's cool. Speed and contact. Fraley is not a middle of the lineup hitter. Spencer Steer is not a number 2 hitter, nor is he a left fielder or second baseman. With the suspensions and injuries to their infield, you would think that Spencer Steer would be getting some at-bats at third base or even at first base or DH. Nope. They're giving Nick Martini, who has bounced around the league 1,000 times. I think the Cubs had him a few years back. And he's DHing when he's what? National Board outfielder. Like, why is not he playing left field and you DHing Steer? And then Espinal is a backup utility infielder they got from the Blue Jays. Why is he batting fifth? Like, it doesn't make any sense there. Washington, I like CJ Abrams and Lane Thomas batting 1 and 2 because guess what? That's speed and contact. Winker batting third, good. They got him lined up to help Meneses, and they got Joey Gallo, and they got Rosario. But again, Kibar Ruiz is a good catcher, but he's not a DH because he's not the world's greatest hitter, and he's not a cleanup hitter. The other man, Vargas, super utility guy. Super utility guy, so batting seventh, and Rosario is in his mid-30s. He's an offensive first player who's a defensive liability. Why are they trying this experiment with him in center field? It should be Lane Thomas in center field. Oh, the whole Gunnar Henderson starting off the year as the shortstop, and then throwing Westberg some days at DH, some days at second base. Some days you got Urias at third base. Some days you got Mateo at second base. Some days now they got Tony Kemp and Mateo's playing center field. Like, just keep Gunnar at third base every day. Westberg every day at second base, and you play whoever you want at shortstop when Jackson Holiday. And then again, they're stacking the lineup with Gunnar and Adley 1 and 2, but again, they should be middle of the lineup. Because then Hayes is batting 5th or 6th, so he's not a power hitter. Nor is Westberg. And Mullins doesn't give you any offensive value batting 6th or 7th. And O'Hearn, why is he in the outfield? They have so many outfielders. Like, he's a first baseman DH. Angel. Rendon leading off is stupid. I like Aaron Hicks batting second, but don't waste a DH spot on a glove first player at this point. Rengifo batting 6th is stupid when he's not a power hitter. Second's fine. You know, Sean Arnell batting second is stupid. I liked when he was batting 6th or 7th because they took him out of the leadoff spot, which was great. Trout batting third instead of second is great. But, like, what are you doing here? Rendon should be middle of the lineup. And then the last two teams, the Tigers. Torkelson batting second when he's the Tigers' best hitter. You're stacking. Well, you can stack with him batting third because Riley Green is not a power-hitting outfielder. They like him, and he's been playing all 3 outfield spots in DHing. But again, like, speed and contact. Canada DHing, that's where he belongs. Parker Meadows has been the leadoff hitter, which is good for me. I agree with that. But Carpenter and playing the outfield when he can't field his position, and McKinstry in infield playing the outfield is stupid. Ibanez is batting a lot of leadoff for second base, which is totally fine for a speed and contact guy. And Matthew Erling getting a lot of games in center field and right field. I'm like, good. None of this stupid third base idea. And then the White Sox. Shoemake is a young infielder, right? And Nicky Lopez is also a glove first player, and Fletcher is a young guy. 6th and 7th is way too high for either one of them. And when your last 3 hitters could be Maldonado and Nicky Lopez and Kevin Pillar, who I really like, that's just automatic outs. And I like Paul DeYoung, and Shoemaker has been pretty good, but those guys make the last 3 to 4 hitters in the lineup bad. Moncada should not be batting second. He should be lower down the 5th. Vaughn gets pushed to 6th. And then you put maybe Nicky Lopez or Shoemaker in the 2 spot. And then Paul DeYoung, when he's playing, is batting 7th. And you know, you have Corey Lee maybe batting 7th when he plays because he's a much better hitter than all these other guys. And that's how you're going to fix your offensive lineup. You have to move guys. Because if the Sox really want to stack guys, I wouldn't be stacking Benintendi and Moncada because Moncada has never won any award or has been an all-star. Benintendi hasn't been good in 2 years, and Robert had his best year last year. That's not stacking. That's not the whole Mookie Betts and Ohtani at the 1 and 2 spot or Juan Soto in the 2 spot. That's not stacking. The Sox have decided they're just going to go with the incumbent guys, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 with Eloy 4 and going Vaughn 5th because they just want to go with the incumbent guys. But again, thanks for listening to the first week of the 2024 MLB season observations. For Table, I'm Raider. See you guys next time.